Hello, good morning, everybody. So today we're gonna talk about Pantha. So it's a Greek say that means that everything flows, and it's referred to, obviously, the flowing of time.
Yeah.
So why time is that there has been a lot of discussions in the previous episode and between us that people always want to people business usually wants to iterate fast, hit the market fast. Let's go live as soon as possible. Let's do it by yesterday every time. And our question today that we're gonna try to answer, or we're not gonna try to answer as usual, we're gonna ask even more questions about this. Is do you really need to go live yesterday with this? Is it really something mandatory? I'll make you an example. My cat, for instance, used to have some digestive problems, and of course he needed some catnip. And usually it's barley, it's seeds of barley that you plant, and the cat is gonna eat the barley seeds. So in order to do this, in theory, in order to do this, what's required as a resource, you need water, soil, seeds, and that's it. You wait 5 days, and you have your seeds ready.
Your weed. Yeah.
Your weed ready, and then the cat is gonna eat. So while I was doing this, I was thinking about the process, and I said, "Oh, what if I double the resources? Because I need it for now, because the cat is very ill.
Yeah.
So I need sick. So I need to do it as soon as possible. So I thought, what will happen if I double some resources? Like I put double soil and half water and double seeds. What's gonna happen? The soil is gonna be really dry, and it will not grow. The barley will not grow. On the other side, I can double the water and keep soil and seeds, or double the sunlight as well. What will happen is that we're gonna have mold, and the mold is not something that the cats really eat. Actually, they're gonna stay away from them because it's poisonous.
Smell, poison, taste,
smell,
everything.
Or the last resource, of course, I can double everything, and I will have double barley. And what happened later, I discovered that my cat doesn't give a shit about barley, and so I would have wasted double water, double soil, double seeds.
Yeah.
This is an example, and we can start from this point in our discussion.
And it's very interesting because, as we said, the first question is the time consuming. The first question is, we really need to double down everything to speed up the process. We really need. And actually, if the answer is yes, we need to think about what happened after. So we got some damage, we got some problem, we still have people in the right mindset, and etc. But before we start, because we asked to Orfeo to introduce this topic, let's present ourselves. I'm Max, head of design, and old man with a lot of experience in this world. Then let's say I look at YouTube. On my left there is Orfeo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got mirroring.
Then I mean, I check YouTube, I don't know. And then we have Alessandro. Yeah.
Hello.
If you want to introduce a little bit yourself, but yeah, we are the three musketeers.
Yeah. I'm lead android, and Alessandro.
I'm mostly doing backend these days.
Nice.
I'm also doing some stuff, and sometimes I like
playing with code
stuff. Play with code, exactly. So again, the topic is it's maybe an unusual topic, but again, it's part of our life. It's part of our day by day. So for this reason, we like to spend time to talk about time. So let's talk about the first interaction. Why for us time is important. Let's talk about planning, because we introduced this concept during the first episode when we talk about MVP. Then every time we talk about some stuff, time is an important part of this. So Alessandro, why
Hello,
from
Nicola.
your point? Oh, we got people.
Nicola is in.
Why for you, especially for you, because you said you are doing some stuff from the backend side. Why time is a very important topic?
I think the answer to this question is, it's quite. There are many things to say, but time is used for different things. But obviously, there's a part, as you mentioned, about planning, and planning, is there to help you actually optimizing other phases of the project. In theory, that's why you do planning. You do planning because you tried some optimization. You try to use planning to save other things, time for doing other things, right? So the notion itself of planning, in my opinion, is not just time, but also time is there to optimize other things, optimize time. And you spend a little bit of time there to not spend the time somewhere else. And then obviously you need the time to also build something, which is what you typically do after planning, assuming you are convinced about the feature you want to work on or whatever. After planning, you typically try to build it. Planning requires typically investigation, analysis, maybe problem solving, maybe spiking around to understand better, and that again requires time. So I think it's more, whenever you do something, you spend the time. Now the question is twofold, in my opinion. One is how you distributed that amount of time between different phases of a project. So imagine writing like a pie chart maybe, and you have different phases of the project, like growing the seeds, eating, and the weed and stuff like that. So you have to organize your time. But the second question is, what is the total time frame, the time window available for a task? Because typically we try to box it. We try to not just optimize how we organize the stuff inside the available time, but we also try to optimize the overall time window period. We try to minimize it, and we try to squeeze everything. And is there a lower bound?
Wait, let's talk about a little bit this squeeze everything, because it's our life. Yeah. When we say our life is designer, front-end developer, back-end developer, again is a circle. So we are on the stage, and every day the requirement is, okay guys, you are professionals, we need to do something, and let's planning, let's do some analysis. Then we're going back, we just think about what could be this time frame, and we say, okay, we got an answer, and say, you know what, we need 4 weeks, a month. Sometimes it's much better to say a month instead of 4 weeks, because 4 weeks sound a lot, because it's like 4 instead of 1. So again,
numbers.
Yeah,
numbers.
So okay, we need 4
28
weeks,
days.
Yeah, exactly.
28 days to go live. 28 big.
And the people just look at you and say, oh no, we can't. So can you squeeze a little bit this time? And okay, you're going back and say, okay, let's try. Second answer is like, okay, it's not 4 weeks, but it's 3 weeks. There's nothing we can do in less than 3 weeks. And then we start to have a problem. We start to have a problem because people don't sometimes believe in this time. They like to, when I say people, we know, product owner, PM, stakeholder, and they look at time and say, no, guys, it's like 3 weeks of salary, 3 weeks of time. I got like an entire team. They spend 3 weeks in the same maybe feature or MVP or something like that. We need to squeeze because we need to go faster.
Yeah.
Faster. Again, time.
Yeah.
Time.
I have a horrible visual representation of what I meant. It's very horrible. Let's see. I don't know if you see, but essentially, I want to say that we have 2 degrees of freedom here. One is how to fill this time slot available. We can have different activities inside, and we can try to optimize what to put in here and what to put in here. But the other thing is the overall size of the time window. And so we have these 2 degrees of freedom that we control to some extent, and we have to decide, how to optimize both of them. Yeah. And then there is the other orthogonal to this. There is the question, in my opinion, of why we want to optimize. Does it bring value optimizing? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So a provocative question.
On the other side, and connected to Max and Alessandro, I still believe that even though programming or like engineering in general, people think it's like math. You do your math and you do your equation and you got the result, and that's how you work. That's not how we work. It's a creative process. I still believe it's a creative process, as we mentioned in other situations, in other episodes. And if you ask a painter to do as many paints as possible in a month, or to complete a painting, like he says, how much is it gonna take? And he tries his best to say, it's gonna be roughly 3 months, because that's what I did for my previous paintings. But then, as we said in other episodes, sometimes you're not in a good mood, or like your mind is not sparkling, or these things. Anyway, takes time. This process from the design perspective, from the engineering perspective as well. So you are forcing a creative mind to solve a problem in a time squeeze frame, and that constrains your creative process, and you are required to generate an artifact that it came out within time constraints, and maybe your brain has been blacked out for the first few weeks of those 3 weeks that Max was saying, and that's one point. Then to reconnect with Alessandro with the why we want to constrain this, and reconnect ourselves with previous episodes. I have examples, and I know people that built MVP, really well done or really badly done MVP, to hit the market. I don't want to mention who are these people and what are these companies, because it's one of the rules of these live. But a bunch of friends of mine wanted to try a solution for food delivery during coronavirus, grocery delivery during coronavirus. And from the time they got in touch with me and said, I would like you to tell us what you think about this, what are the challenges, what we should look into this MVP, what is the worst thing that is hard to manage in this kind of product. To the time they hit the market, they took 2 weeks. They took 2 weeks to do a online market. Now the result of the product is really, really, really essential. But they said, look, we use what we have, and we hit the market in 2 weeks. Now, if we saw that the adoption was zero, completely zero, no visitors at all, we can try to do marketing and try to bring visitors in. But if we see no interest at all, we can shut it down. We lost 2 weeks, and we shut it down. It's not something that we might need, and I can see the value in that. I can really see the value in that. Versus we took like a year to go live with a really well-built product, but in a year, COVID at the time have been resolved, so probably there wasn't that need anymore. Or the way around, this MVP works because there is COVID. As soon as the COVID ends, this product is completely useless. And time frame. Then you can't leverage anymore this kind of solution, so people will not need it. They will go just to the grocery around the corner and buy the thing. So I think that time within an MVP in the sense of product, a new product, not in a sense of MVP feature, but we can talk about this as a feature. Yeah. I think it might be really important to have early validation, but on the other side, if you want to build the MVP, you can't build a massive product with a shitty experience. You need to cut features. You can't cut in quality. That's my personal opinion. These are all the points. As usual, I touched 2 million points everything at one time by one discussion, and this is. I think that talking about MVP, it's a good starting point. MVP is a new product, fresh product. It's a good topic to analyze at this time, and why in this time it's good, and then we can start talking about MVP as a feature, as Alessandro was saying.
Yeah. However, I really like the conversation about creativity. So I would also dedicate some time, maybe later today, also to that topic. I think it's a very important topic. It's connected also to some of our.
It's time to clean your hands.
I think it's something that we touched already also in the previous episodes, and it's it's connected to the fact that some of the things that we produce might be sometimes more. It might be worth sometimes just waiting the right inspirational moment, like when your creativity is at its best. And we mentioned many times that design and engineering are two sides of the same thing. They are not that different. And they both require time, analysis, of course, numbers, evaluations, investigations, but at the same time, they require also a piece of creativity, and it's very important, and you cannot enforce that to happen under certain constraints, or you cannot schedule it on a regular basis. And
so. Before we are going deeply in this time concept related our role and our jobs, I would like to spend a little bit more time in what Orfeo said before. And time. Today, actually, it started 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, this COVID-19 pandemic problem, situation, etc. And of course, the reaction was like, now everyone. A month ago, every company started thinking, "Oh, well, we can be able to do this." I got like, I see the famous gap in the market. Let's fill that gap. Let's rush. Let's hurry because we need to build something.
I was called for a hackathon last weekend.
Yeah. It's more like exactly
with 2 million ideas, 2 million projects. And topics.
And everyone are super excited because we would like to help, and we got plenty of time at home now. We want to help everyone. Let's think about new feature. Let's think about new product or something like that. Okay, let's think about. We live in a big city, and there's no delivery or order or less. Seamless other delivery companies or something that just did blah blah blah. Let's build something. Let's build the Italian Just Eat. Okay, fine. How many weeks actually? First interactions. How many days we need to design an app, design a website, doing some stuff because it's easy. People need to see the product. Click add to cart, aggiungere al carrello, and buy. So easy, no? Come on, guys, give me something. I spend a lot of money every month to pay your salary. You are a fucking senior. quick. Okay, quick. What's going on? My first question every time someone talk with me about deliveries is like, have you spent time to think about the logistics side? Oh, no. Don't worry. We are going to build a website, an app. We don't have to build a warehouse. Okay, fine. And where this food, drinks are coming from? Oh, this is the next step. This is on me. Don't worry. No, I'm worried because we are going to build a product, and the product is the delivery part. The website and the app is a tool. It's like my phone call back in the day. I need to order something. I call someone and I ask to order. I give my order. That's it. The rest is there. Oh yeah, fine. I found a friend of mine or my cousin, and he got like 3 or 4 people in furloughed. Actually, there is a 2 driver without salary at the moment, and they have a plenty of time. They got like a small van. Solve it, fine. And what happened after a month when maybe we are going to reopen a little bit this lockdown time? We don't know. Okay. And what happened when the streets are going to be full and the traffic, logistic? Because we are going to say today, I can deliver food to you in 15 minutes, 1-5. But what happened in a month time when my user, my customers still want to use my service, and instead of 50 minutes is an hour and a half because there's traffic?
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's not the right time to think about that.
Yeah. That's a common topic. I think that before, it's always going to the root cause as an engineer. That's how you do things. And I think that most of the time there is, I got it. It's a common, what as an engineer, someone comes and tells you, I want to do this. And the first thing you try to do, overall, when you are a junior, it's like, it's easy. You do like this, right? And you try to give answers and solutions straight away. The more then you start coding, you start creating it, you realize that solution falls apart. So, and you start changing your mindset and you start thinking, and your answer is going to be, I need to look into that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know right now. I need to think about the problem. And you start creating these aptitudes because you need to be reliable. You need to give, if you give an answer, that's going to be the answer. That's it, right? So you try to always to play safe, and you say, look, I need to think about it. And you just take the time to sit down and think about your solution. What happens nowadays, I think that most of the time, I don't want to judge people, but that's my perception of what happens, is that product owner or whoever is stakeholders, they think, we should do this because they thought about it about 3 seconds, they got an idea, and they don't take the time to think about implications. It's a creative process. You need to rationalize, to take your idea, digest it, and then you say, okay, I need to think about delivery, I need to think about time, I need to think about support, user support, for instance. How are we gonna support a user that doesn't receive the delivery, or scam, or people that order for someone else, or there are so many things that you need to think. And most of the time the answer is, as Max said, it's we're gonna think about it later. But that's not just about thinking about the product and how it works and what is your idea. This is completely unrelated to this conversation. I'll leave it there, but it's also risk management. Big topic. When you have an idea, with the idea comes some risk. And you need to assess responsibilities, yes. And you need to think about what is the risk of introducing this. And that's what we do with Max as well most of the time when we work together, was, okay, let's try to find a way to break this. Let's say how when it falls apart, how can we leverage the system to scam? How can we leverage the system to fall into some weird scenarios. How we do this, and we kept challenging each other with this, which was healthy conversation, and we came up with good solution that constrains the user experience. But that really, this is out of scope. The idea is time to think. Are we taking before the window, before allocating resources, before creating the feature, before at the really creative step where there is the idea?
Yeah.
Are we allocating enough time to think about, is this the right thing to do? And then it comes to, okay, yes, it's the right thing to do, and then let's do this, and the why falls into that ideation stage. Is like, why?
Yeah.
We need to do it now.
In my past experience, I learned how you need, or actually why you need to think, design, and build what I call unhappy flow. Back in the day, it was maybe we talk about 2011, 2012. The first interaction was like, exactly, because the time frame was very, very, very short. They say the first interaction was all the time design what we call happy flow. Happy flow, it means you design something, you build something, there is an interaction, press the button, done, easy, happy flow. Okay, perfect. So guys, what you need to build this, I don't know, a week, fantastic. But yeah, wait, this is happy flow. We need, at some point, how I learn. I was next to my, back in the day, front-end developer, and he started asking me something. A lot of questions say, okay, but what happens if this doesn't work? Or what happens if the server don't respond? What happens if the client go in a loading status? Or again, back in the day, 2011 is not today.
Loading, we go back in time with the time.
Exactly.
Because to perform an operation, it takes time. So we need to tell the user that needs to wait.
And on my question, I was super pissed off. I said, why this guy need to ask a lot of questions like this? I mean, I designed a perfect solution. Why we need to think about that? Again, time. And I realized immediately why. No? Again, planning. So we said, okay, 2 weeks. But again, think about this is the happy flow. But we need to think about what happens if we start to have a problem, like management, risk management. And the answer is like, oh, why? Why we need to spend another week to do this? Okay, what happens if the feature go in a broken mode? What happens if the user start to have a problem? We need to think about that. We need to think about the solution. No. Let's focus on the happy flow. We are fine. We are talking about MVP. So okay, MVP is related to happy people. We don't thinking about what's happened if we start to have a problem. Again, don't use this time to think about the problem, or don't use this time to think about the unhappy flow. We are fine like this. We know we don't have a problem. We can't have a problem because we are going to build something good. Then,
but in that scenario, of course, we're gonna ask the question, because in our code there is if the network request is successful, do this. If it's not, what? If it's not, what are we gonna do? Because you need in the code to specify what to do if the network connection doesn't go through, if the request doesn't go through. Then we need to do it. Otherwise, what? We crash the app. We throw the phone out of the window. What's gonna? We reboot the phone.
Think about
what's gonna happen.
To ask Alessandro now, because it's ready to say something. Again, we're going back and say, okay. They ask us to build something in 2 weeks. Designer and front-end developer are aligning this. Yeah, okay, we can do it. Fine. Happy flow. Maybe think about an happy flow. And then with happy flow, we move to Alessandro, and he start ask question.
Yeah, well, it was just a quick thing. I totally agree with both of you, and particularly, I believe that. A great percentage, actually, of the complexity of production code is devoted to handle unhappy situations, I don't think that most of the complexity of the effort come from the epi path. Obviously, you have to implement that one as well. And as we said in the past, that complexity is not complexity of the code itself. It's complexity for the design. It's complexity for the end user that has to understand what you're doing, what's happening, error reporting. We can, from a coding perspective, as Orfeo said, we can just crash everything, Who cares? It's the epi path is covered. I can take that approach, right? The epi path is covered, and that's it. But it's not what's happening today. It's no longer what the user expects. They want to know why something is not working, or why they have to wait, or why there is a crash. And so you have all these, translating errors into a smooth experience for the user, display error, meaningful error messages to the user, and involve them into understanding why something is not working. And that brings complexity, a lot of complexity for the user, for the design, for the code. So
I'll give you an example that I saw quite a few time ago. So there was this product where during the sign up process, there was this kind of error handling, is like not showing a loading spinner. So you have a screen, you do a network request, there was no loading. And there was, the condition was, if is not success, do nothing. So you press next. The next button kept being enabled. You don't see anything on the screen. And it started, at some point it started failing in production. And people started saying, user reports saying, I can't continue in the sign up. And we had no reporting, we had no number, we had no monitoring, no alerting, nothing. And we kept receiving reports about people that are stuck during the sign-up process. And people were calling me saying, look, people are stuck in the sign-up. I don't see why. The sign-up is huge. And I don't know, I need to pinpoint what's the problem. And I don't know where it is. Mm-hmm. Then, after a couple of weeks, I stumbled upon this condition and said, oh, you know why it's happening? Because there's no loading, there's no reporting, there's no error handling. So yes, the epi path is covered. I was able to reproduce it, but by accident, completely by accident. I went into this flow, the backend was broken at that time, and it kept tapping next, and I was like, why is this thing not working? I'm tapping this, why is it not working? Then I realized, and I said, oh, that's the issue. And that's the final user experience. And me as a developer, I was like, why is it not working? That's my behavior as an engineer. Imagine for an end user that knows nothing about error handling, network request. It doesn't care, of course.
They doesn't care, exactly, because they just went to the shop. They spend sometimes $700-800 or pound or euros to buy a phone, and they think about, okay, I spend 800 euros. I don't care what's going on. So it's impossible to have a problem. But again, go back to the Orfeo point. Think about, we talk about time. Sometimes a loading status save you and give you a chance to take sometimes to send a message to your backend or whatever. We are going too deep, sorry. But again, give you a chance to save this time. So, okay, I make the first call, then I receive back something. And if it's something broken in the middle, I got time to fix it. Again, every time we talk about the loading status on my team, the reaction is like, oh my God, no, loading status mean app is slow, the website is slow. No, loading status save us, give us chance to understand what's going on between a click and a call on the server, or what I send something, I receive something, what happened in the middle. Loading status today could be like a millisecond, but we need that little spinner sometimes. So again, as a UX designer, I say, you know what, and this I remember when I started talking about this loading status with Orfeo and Alessandro say, can we add a spinner there? Why? Because we need to think about, we need to give us some time to verify if everything is okay. And that sometimes, again, is a millisecond. It's not a 10-second. This is time related to building stuff, user waiting. But again, there is an important topic, is a time related to planning, and we would like to touch this. This is very, very important topic for us. So
yeah, but as Alessandro was saying, when you think about when a stakeholder comes over and say, I need to build this. As Alessandro said, you need to write more code or more implementation or more design.
Yeah.
You need to think about, let's assume you have one happy path scenario and you have other 3 unhappy path scenario. So it's not one thing to build. There are 3 flows to build. It's not just one. You're not building one feature. Yeah. Because people think that you're building the happy path, but we're not building just the happy path. So you have to multiply by 3, and so that time frame has to be multiplied by 3.
Yeah. And plus, the unhappy path sometimes can have far-reaching consequences more than the happy path itself, because it's not always local. Sometimes, yes, maybe it's a validation of a form. You cannot proceed in one sign-up flow, but sometimes it might end up in weird states that you pay later somewhere else because now you have to handle other situations in another place of your website, application, whatever.
And as Max was saying, we need to plan for this. You need to think about this, and if you don't go through the details, as Max loves to do, then what is gonna be the result?
Exactly, you need time. So again, if you think about, sorry Alessandro, go.
No. Well, actually, I wanted to about this. One thing that I want to say is about time. So we spend, people have this idea that if we spend now time thinking about, we are sort of wasting time or just using more time than expected. But actually, maybe on the other side, you are saving time somewhere else. So maybe the way to go faster, because I agree that sometimes we want to go faster. I'm the first one that sometimes wants to go faster, want to see something in production running, used by real users. But maybe we should understand what is the right way to save time. And maybe, things that for me, like removing friction or removing unreliable parts and building something reliable so that in the future you minimize the risk of unexpected issues, bugs, unexpected, unpredictable situations. Maybe that's a time saver and not maybe rushing in the thinking process. Otherwise one day it's unpredictable, so you have to stop something else, jump on this, you have context switch, you have to do it in a rush because now it's escalated to be a production issue, and you have to pause whatever you are working on to jump into this thing, do a patch quickly, and then maybe the patch doesn't work and patch it again, and or maybe it's too late.
You're wasting your next time window with this. You're wasting your next time. You're disrupting your next time window.
Yeah, because you're going faster now, but then you're going to spend more time later to fix and maybe cover the time you haven't spent before. Again, before we start talking about planning, our experience, kickoff project or just talking about grooming section, whatever you want to use in your working hour as a designer. The first question I received was like, okay, how many time you need to design this? And I say, okay, I need to think about that. And especially if you start be like a senior, a lead, a head of, and a director, people expect from you immediately an answer. You say, okay, but you got experience. You of course you need to know how many time your designer, or not just yourself, your designer need to spend to do this stuff. And say, And all the time I say, we need time to think about time. Why? We need to think about if we have to spend time in competitor analysis. Oh, but you are a designer, you are going to copy the competitors. No. Competitors analysis. We need time to think about if we need time to do some user research. We need time to think about if we need time to be creative. Because one thing is improve a feature, another is from scratch. So, okay, you asked me to be creative, but you asked me to deliver a design in a couple of hours. And yes, because, okay, guys, come on, you're going to use a Sketch or Figma, all the tools, you have a computer. Of course, it's easy. I can do it. And then we're going back to the first, one of the first points. Today, everything seems easy because, again, you are senior, you know the code, you know the platform. Come on, Orfeo, you are a lead mobile. Why you need 2 weeks to build something? You got experience, you got knowledge. And sometimes you say, yeah, I got experience. And that experience, that knowledge, tell me to tell you, and I need time because what you asked me to build is outside my knowledge.
But exactly. That's the point. Yes.
I think
it takes time to understand, because sometimes we need to build something from scratch, as we used to do, Alessandro. We have to build a backend. And that backend will specify the series of network call to complete a flow. And of course, we need to look at the UI. We need to it's a loop. It's an iteration on that, and we need time to understand what's the interaction, and we need to study that thing, that we study that solution. And then there is an iteration loop that goes to development, design, backend, development, front-end developer, design, backend, and we keep iterating on that. And you can't think about, you go out of the blue and you say, oh, we're gonna have this is a blue. Your mind pops everything in, and you got design, backend, front-end, all the people aligned, and it's done. It's done.
I think this again stems from what you mentioned before, Orfeo, that is this vision of the production pipeline. How does it, whenever you have a new feature, a new product, how does that work? And there is this idea that creativity is only involved in the, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not what's happening, but my perception sometimes is that people look at this process as if creativity only has a role in the very first iteration, like you have this big
not even there. The moment they tell you the idea, you are done.
Well, that's what I mean, like creativity, like a big bang explosion, where someone has this roughly defined, very high level idea, like I want to go to the moon. Okay, everyone can have this idea, to be honest. I want to go to the moon, you want to go to the moon, let's go to the moon, right? And then they think that everything else after this roughly defined high-level explosion of an idea, everything else should be fully deterministic, like just a mechanism to now translate that idea into design, into software, into tickets on Jira, into acceptance criteria. But that looks like a formalization of something you already have. And so my question, maybe
bureaucracy is just bureaucracy.
Yeah, sort of, right? Or maybe not, but the translation layers, right? Maybe not bureaucracy, but filling the details. It's not about...
it's like filling a form.
Yeah, like while their creativity took place only in that tiny amount at the beginning, where you have, I want to go to the moon.
Or I need time to plan my MVP. And for sure, the people in front of you look at you and say, but it's an MVP, why you need time? Again.
But just to go one step back, but for example, thinking about, I know it's a bit out of topic, but I just want to raise this concern or controversial topic about this creativity thing that, detonates, is triggered at the beginning, and then everything falls down automatically, everything else is systematic. How really, I don't know, I have a feeling that maybe instead of that idea at the beginning, I want to go to the moon, is the less creative part of the process. because to be honest, generating random ideas without any constraint, generating ideas out of the blue without context, like I want to go to the moon, well, maybe it's not that creative. Anyone, I think, to some extent, can dream to go to the moon or have these sort of ideas. And maybe the creativity part instead is find a way to make that happen in your context, under your constraints. That requires creativity, in my point of view, and not necessarily, have a dream of something, because in the dreams, we can dream a lot of things. I think all of us are really, if we go wild, we can really have a lot of crazy ideas and secret dreams about stuff. But it's not that that idea, to translate that idea into reality, we just need, science, engineering, and translations layers. And there's a theory that allows you, whatever idea you have, to convert that idea into something actual.
To confirm this Alessandro point, as Max and Alessandro knows, I'm trying to make a video game. I always wanted to do that, and so I need to do kind of Max's job to design things. Of course, I'm an engineer. I can't do that, but I'm trying. And every time I had...
You are doing very well, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm taking lessons now. But anyway, that's the point. I'm taking lessons. So I had always this idea. I want to make this game. I know exactly what's the game. I have the concept. I have the plot. I have the skills to develop it, to write the code. I can write the code. I'm fine with that. Everything is fine. The problem falls down, and I really fall short when I have to create the design part of it. And when I go into the topic, I say, oh, I know exactly what I want to draw that thing. I have a reference, I can draw this. And then, like, when you go from a sketch, like that is your idea, and you have to do it into a pixel art, you need to be creative, you need to think. That's one problem of pixel art, that you have few pixels to represent a full detailed character, and you need to think, how can I make this wrap on a dress and represent it into 3 pixels, like that's what you have 3 pixels, and make it look like it's a wrap on a dress in 3 pixels. How can I use this? And I agree with Alessandro. I realized that I tried multiple times and failed because I have no skills into design. And what I did is like, okay, I need to think about it. And now, before I wrote a single line of before opening the project, any project, before choosing a gaming engines, there are 24 millions. I can use any of them. My first thing is, how the fuck am I going to create the assets for this game? And before that is, okay, I don't know how to implement this thing. I need to study. I need to take my time. I need to follow an online course, a lesson, and a YouTube video, whatever, and look at some reference, take some examples, and think about how am I gonna do light and shadow representation. Do I wanna do? What's the style I'm gonna choose? And that's the really creative part that goes before the game. And that's the how that Alessandro was talking about. What's my palette? What's my shadow? Do I want to use shadows? Do I want to use just plain and flat characters? What's the resolution of the thing? And I know what's the game, but still I need to solve those problems, because I tried to do let's do a rough sketch. When I played the game, the mechanics was fantastic, astonishing, spot on. Code was amazing. The game, guys, was so shitty. It looked so dirty, so rough, that it didn't even get close to what was my dream. And probably I wasn't going to Mars or to the moon. I was just going to Niagara Falls, which is beautiful. It's beautiful, but it's not the moon. That's not the moon.
Exactly. It's not the final goal. To think from my side, go to the moon. It's easy today if you have money. If you are a billionaire, not millionaire, I think billionaire. But again, go to the moon. It's easy. you go to you have to go in Russia or Cape Canaveral or etc. Spend money. They have like there's no shuttle anymore. They have a rock. They send you to the moon. Fine, easy. Then when you arrive to the moon, because you spend money and you ask, yeah, but I don't want to just see the moon from my spaceship. I would like to walk to the moon like Louis Armstrong.
That's
sorry,
a part
Neil
of the
Armstrong.
vision. That's a part of the vision. I want to.
Yeah,
I want to go to the
walk
moon.
to the
What
moon.
does it mean? I just want to get there, or do I want to walk on it?
I want to go to the moon and walk to the moon because I want to take a selfie. You know what? And okay, fine, take a selfie. Perfect. You go to the
post
moon.
it on Instagram.
And post it
Exactly.
from the moon itself.
Yeah,
Immediately.
you go to the moon. You can, exactly. And you need to take time because you can't go back to Earth immediately. It's not like a subway. It's not like a bus. It's exactly an airplane. So you need to land it, then wait, then reset up your system because the navigation was from Earth to moon. Then you need to go back, reverse everything, check your system because maybe you are going to explode in the middle of nowhere, and when you're ready, you can go back. So the mission is not go to the moon. The mission is, again, as Alessandro say, go to the moon. It's easy. The hard part is understand the time then required to go back to the Earth, and then land it safe. Again, take your time. A perfect example related to development process, creative process, design process, like today we are in the situation then we start using a lot Zoom up. We are in Zoom today, or you can use exactly the same, but let's say Zoom up because was one of the first app, I think the only app back in the day, then give a chance to use a virtual background. Like my virtual background is not my flat, unfortunately, or the
my flat. That's my real flat.
That's my flat.
and I receive a question, say, oh, by the way, can we have something similar in our product? Or I really love that. I say, yeah, for sure we can, because again, I check with one of my developers and say, yeah, we can do. Yeah, of course. Read the documentation. The code is there, but I said something then in the past. I was not scary, but I was super pissed off when a developer come to me and say, yeah, we need to investigate. I really hate that terms, investigate, because I say, come on, I designed this, I explained it, do it. I need to investigate. What the fuck you need to investigate? It's there. Everything is there, no? There's a requirement. And I use that word because I explained, we got code. The platform support what you ask me. In terms of design, it's easy. It's just an interaction. It's not rocket science. We are going to build something then don't require to go to the moon, but we need to investigate because we need to acquire knowledge. We need to know how we can manage, how we can ride that code, because it's like a mad horse. We need to think about if we are able to do. Oh yeah, but come on, you got your team. Your team is a super senior, exactly. But how many times someone asks, "Oh, can we have a green screen behind yourself, like Zoom?" Did you ask yourself how many hours, day, month, the Zoom company, the developer, they work there, they spend to have this fantastic interaction? They require just a click, and not only you can.
I got a real green screen on my back. That's why it works that well. For Max it works a little bit rough because it's removing the background automatically, and there are not so many products. And even to do this interaction here with the green screen on your background,
exactly, look or fail,
live,
you can just wave and look at me. If I wave my hand, of course, did you see? I'm going to create a problem because this is my door, the brown one. But again, it's good. we can do. Or if you have a green screen,
but
you
even
can have
to
a
do the
perfect
green
situation,
screen,
no?
even to do this, it's not that if you try to set up the streaming software that I'm using right now with the green screen, which is OBS, there are like 24 parameters to tweak the green screen, because it depends. The color of this tissue changes because first of all it's the tissue itself, but then it depends on from where the light is coming, and there are different shades. Here is darker, here is brighter, and here are the other things. And writing the code that replace the background with something else, just the code to say replace one color with something else. See, there are no artifacts on my t-shirt. Last time I used the green t-shirt on purpose because it was matching the color. But it's even if you do with the static image, with a BMP bitmap, plain bitmap, or with a JPEG, there's a little bit of noise. It's so fucking hard. That's for developers that are following. Please do this exercise, because doing this in real time with the full HD source of images, that's a fucking challenge, and you need to do it in real time while the video flows. So decoding the video, change the color, re-encode it, stream it over. sorry to interrupt, but it's just to explain how complex something really simple that people give for granted. It's a really big challenge, and you don't realize how much effort.
I got piece of my mic now.
Yes, it appeared because you got your t-shirt close, and there is color matching. Yes, there is color matching there, and you see it. But that's sorry, Max, I didn't want to interrupt.
No. It's absolutely it's perfect. So.
And now you lost your train of thought.
No, because I stopped myself because I got a point. No, I finished that. But again, time. Last week we talked about some other topics, and at the end we emphasized this concept that you need to ask why many times. Why you need to cut this time frame? Why you need to spend 2 days instead to 2 weeks? But first of all, we need to ask to ourselves as a team. Again, we're going back to this concept as a team, not just as myself. Is this RE concept justified for this? So we really need to rush everything. We really need to spend a week instead of 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We really need. And if the answer is yes, we need to go deeply. So okay, explaining why we need this, because by the way, guys, yes, we really need, because we released something yesterday. Again, Alessandro told us we are in a panic mode because everything is down, and there was no yesterday is 3 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, we really need it. So we can't spend 3 days in a row.
Yeah, it's already live. There is an expectation for our users.
Exactly.
You're fulfilling, but when you're building something that is not live, no one knows about it, so it's internal.
Exactly. Or as we discussed this morning, one of my topic was like, again, it's this behavior justified. Think about a new feature. It's something your customers / user ask to have in your product, yes or no? If the answer is yes, okay, planning very well. If the answer is we don't know, or maybe no, don't rush. Finalize everything and go live with all your planning. Take your time. Take your time to cover all scenarios. The worst case scenarios, the happy scenarios, the
risk assessment, as we said.
Risk assessment, the time you need to spend in QA. Because today, part of the plan is like, okay, Orfeo, give me your what we say? Give me your explanation. Sorry? Estimation, thanks. From a front-end side, Alessandro, please do it the same for backend. And Max, on other designer, again, please doing the same for your design process, whatever you need, blah, blah. Going back to me in an hour. Okay, again, time. Go back to me in an hour. Okay, fine. I'm lucky because I got an entire hour without meeting. Let's do it. Orfeo and Alessandro are lucky too. Okay. In an hour, we are going to plan the next 4 sprint. How we can do this? I mean, how we can do?
Which can be 2 months. Like it's 2 months of work. Can you think about 10 people working?
Yeah.
The work organized 10 people work for 2 months.
But
yes.
Come on,
It's crazy.
People went already on the moon in 1969. Come on, it was 50 years ago more.
Exactly. You got
How is it
everything.
possible in
You got knowledge,
2020 that you need more than 1 hour to plan, for example, going to the moon, right?
Right, exactly. So again, they say, okay, let's plan this 2 months, or maybe if you are lucky, someone asks you to plan an entire quarter, and so 3 months, and I say, okay, you know what? No, I can't do it. We can do it in an hour. Okay,
the next year is behind the corner, Max. We need to
exactly.
start thinking about it, right?
It's
You know
2021.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We can do everything
It's behind the
in 4 minutes.
corner. We cannot,
Yeah, you're going to explain this concept, and you are very good to this explanation, and yeah, you're right. Take the entire day. Don't worry, forget everything. Take the entire day to plan. And of course, you say, fuck, from an hour to an entire day, I'm super lucky. Shut down everything, grab these 2 guys with me, go in a meeting room, close yourself, cover the meeting room with a black film or something like that. You are there, you are going to spend, and then you know what? You start, because you want to do the perfect job, you start plan everything. You spend an entire day. It's possible. But when there is a time, you need to put a lot of question marks. Why? I don't know anything because I need to start this investigation. I need to start this what's called what use when you are going to do some spike. Thanks. Plus, let's see, an entire quarter. Okay, holidays.
Sick. You
I'm
don't know
off.
if you get it.
Time.
Coronavirus.
Coronavirus. Yeah.
Sickness.
Have you included coronavirus in the estimation? I mean, you have to forecast the potential.
Everything. And the people, and if you have the brown people in your team, say, okay, why you need to count this hour, this time? Because I give you planning, and I said in 2 weeks we are going to design / build this stuff. Then we start, and then at some point Orfeo said to us, I'm sick, I need to take 3 days off. So you start at -3 days. Then after 3 days, I'm going, I don't know, outside, out of the office because I got some planning in place. And then say -2 days. So your planning is start being shorter and shorter and shorter. And at some point, again, this is if you have all your idea in place. But again, if I'm going to come to you and I ask you, you have 1 day to plan an entire quarter, you look at me and say, you are crazy. If you wanna, I can, what we say last week, fortune teller or something like that. Yeah, I got my ball. I can read something like, yeah, in 3 months' time, maybe, could be blah, blah, blah. And then you say, I'm not sure. Then what happened? The people in charge go with your plan. They remove all maybe. They remove all question mark and say, yes, in a quarter, we are going to build this.
Not to mention that we are not machines, to be honest. We're not good at repetitive tasks, right? So there might be days in which it doesn't matter the effort I put into trying to solve certain problems. Problem solving is not deterministic. It's there's a component of an ingredient of creativity in there. You need inspiration to understand what can be the solution. Then you can, rank the solutions, understand which solution is better, forecast and analyze the consequences of that. But just to come up with come up with some solutions, you need to squeeze your brain and think about. And there are days in which doesn't matter if you squeeze your brain, nothing is gonna come out of that. Maybe it's better if you go walking outside and think with a fresh mind the day after. You're gonna be much more productive, maybe.
Or take some holidays.
Take some holidays. Yeah.
Again,
It's also the other way around. Sometimes you might be super productive. It's the right day. You feel like super inspired and you can produce solutions everywhere. That's maybe the day in which you want to invest on that, because you really, it's like doing surf. You need to wait the right wave.
The perfect wave, exactly.
You cannot go surfing in the wrong sea or in a day in which there are no waves at all.
Yep.
You need to take time to learn. Take time to arrive
and weather forecasting, talking about surf, it's not that reliable.
There is a tool of so over time I did a little bit the Scrum Master as well. I'm not really into agile in the sense that you need to have ceremonies and tickets and things like that. I think it's a way to manage incompetent teams. Let's put it like this. I'm gonna be really direct, because if you're really into an idea, if you're really clear on what's the product, what's the feature, what's the
team
reason,
works well together.
Yeah, if people communicate really well, and if people know what they don't know and they ask for help and they say, look, I spotted a problem, all these things, you don't need to have boards, you don't need to have everything. Given this is my personal opinion, I tend to comply to what's the company strategy, because I can't say, everyone here it's good, we're not gonna put tickets, stuff like that. So given this is the thing, one of the key things that is in Scrum and things like agile things is that you say the effort, and the effort, it's a number which does not represent one-to-one time.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one point. And then I learned that people invented landing zones, which is a way to say, given this is what this team has delivered in the past, exactly this team delivered in the last 3 months, I can say that we are going to deliver this from 2 weeks to 6 weeks, let's say, which is really rough. But that estimation has been done considering that the team is always the same, the mood is always the same, there's no coronavirus, the company has overall a good communication that makes all the people be happy, so all the people feel really productive, and it goes from 2 to 6 weeks, okay? And when you come up with this thing, it's 2 to 6 weeks. It means not the truth, reading the numbers. If it's like that, I saw some pasta, sometimes Russian produced pasta that is cooked from 4 to 25 minutes. What does it mean? Is it 4 or 24 minutes? Let me know what it is. And then that translates with we don't know when we're gonna deliver this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But people still wants to have this concept of time into that, where there's no time. There is just this is this big, and there can be still unknown during the workflow.
Just one small thing about that, and it's we are talking about now forecasting time. And since I mentioned surf before, I was thinking. Think about weather conditions, for example. They are so hard to forecast. Even simplified, virtual, artificial models of atmosphere, not the complexity of the real atmosphere, even simplified playgrounds for your model are very hard. Actually, they are chaotic. They are very hard to forecast in the long term. Despite the fact that you have a set of equations describing them. Okay, so it's not like a team where you don't have an equation describing team interactions, communications, forecasting sickness or whatever, right? But now take up as a playground a virtual model, mathematical model of the atmosphere. Even that simplified version, even with just a couple of variables, is extremely chaotic and hard to forecast. Now, I'm wondering why in the business, in the product, then we pretend that all these and forecasting based on unknowns of unknowns of unknowns, it gives you more confidence than saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
We can't trust weather forecasting, okay? But we are okay, we feel confident if we see a spreadsheet saying, oh, well, even with all these question marks that you mentioned, Max, and all these unknowns and all this uncertainty, I feel confident. It's okay.
Yeah, because we plan
the value of that.
There are a lot of unknown. Yeah,
and you're wasting time to do
that.
And you're wasting time to do that.
Yeah.
Going back with the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know it's very hard to explain again why time is so complicated. If you're going back to last week, excuse me, we talk about numbers. And one thing we said, it was you need to take time to read that number, to see if that numbers work very well. Again, time. Why? Because you launch something and your expectation to see if everything's go very well, because you plan everything perfect. You spend your time. There was just only a happy flow. Everything is okay. It's still there. It's live. But then need time to see. One of the first answer you receive from a data analyst is like, okay, guys, I need time to collect all those numbers, all those information, and to create something like a flow chart, a graphic, a chart, or something like that. Then show you this situation enough. I get time and say, why you need a week? Because we need to understand how many users start using your feature or your product. Let's talk about week, because we don't know if this feature is going live in an entire world on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. We don't know. Let's talk about week, because for sure in a week we can grow this number, and in a week time I can give you some answers. Yeah. And no, it's no. We can't wait a week. No. Can we go something by Wednesday? Yeah, sure. Nothing. Or wrong numbers, because we need to take time. We need to take time to do everything.
But the question is always the same. Why?
Why?
What are 3 days really?
One month. Let's say 1 month.
Yes, 1 month. Okay.
What 1 month later.
Yeah. 1 month later. I'm not saying for a new concept, because we already covered that. Okay.
Yeah.
A month for during COVID, launching a new product for COVID, by COVID.
Yeah.
If you do it in 3 months, the situation is gonna change, and you can't do that. It doesn't apply. In that scenario, it's okay. But if you have a already well-adopted product where there are millions of users and you're doing what you want to do, blah 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 blah, all these things, what is the value of saving 1 month of time? I don't understand it, because the problem with saving that month, it completely changes and bias all the numbers. Because if you take a month more to build the feature, to plan the feature, to analyze the feature, to have an idea, to iterate, to release it, to get the adoption, to get the numbers at the end of the day, because you need to read the numbers after a while, quite a while. Why are we more why are people, more stakeholder, more comfortable on having unreliable, uncertain data with the shitty user experience and something really sketchy and rough in less time than having something that is well designed, well thought, with good numbers, and those numbers are the right numbers because it took the time to mature. That's maturity of everything.
I want to stop you.
That give you a certain result, or like what you expect. It can be like it's shit or it's good, whatever it is, but it's certain. We spent time, we know we did our best, and this is the result. So either we screwed up completely and we didn't understand the scope, so we wasted our time, fair enough, we're gonna learn, or the user doesn't want this feature. That's it.
I want to stop you because we need to take time to answer some questions. We got a chat from Nicola. Let's go. We have actually follow the tradition. Go, Orfeo, read the question and see what we can.
So Nicola is saying, maybe a bit stretching the topic, what about work environments in which people are not even tracking tasks and tickets with something Jira-like? I'm not necessarily
my
thinking...
favorite word.
Yes, my too. I'm not necessarily thinking about IT, but for example, home appliances industry supply chain, they still do planning, with quotes, from what I've heard. I have no experience with that. Probably Max has some experience.
The second part, or the first part?
Both of them. Like, okay, we all dream a place where we don't have ticket tracking because everyone is aligned and understands and don't try to step on each other's rules and it's not malicious.
I mean, in this scenario, if you think about the first question related to Jira, I personally don't like Jira. And but not because Jira going to track my life. I mean, because sometimes I say I need to spend time to track myself on Jira. I need to spend time to go write down
the details,
something like that. No, exactly. But again, I push all my designers to start using Jira because it's the only way to talk and communicate in a team. If there's no communication in this scenario, a part of Zoom or something like that. But again, you can avoid Jira, but you need to be honest and you need to find a solution to track not your time, but your what you are doing. Your decision,
your agreements between the team,
your time, no? Because tomorrow I need to say, oh guys, I spent 8 hours to design something, I'm ready. Or unfortunately, I'm not ready to show you something because I did this and that. But again, stand up, voice. If no one take note, that knowledge disappear forever because we don't know a week ago, 3 months, 2 weeks ago what happened. No, so we need to track. You can avoid Jira, but you need to find another way to save all this information, to track all the information. And again, from my point of view, but I'm naive in this scenario, is not for track people. Is more.
I'm coming back soon. Feel free to continue.
Okay, it's more to understand how our process go. Then this is my idea. Again, Nicola, I don't know if I completely answer your question, but again, at some point, unfortunately, we need to track because sometimes we can use this tracking, this situation to explain why I need more time in a new feature because it's happened to us or myself and say, oh yeah, guys, but last quarter you smashed literally. You delivered 2 big features in a month. Why today you ask me 2 months to deliver in this idea the same task? And you say, yeah, of course. I spent a month. We smash everything because we had our knowledge. Today, for this new feature, we need to start from scratch, from a design point of view, from a development point of view, because we need again to spend maybe 2 weeks just to try stuff, just to maybe to build a stupid prototype to see if the interaction is work very well. Before we start designing something, we need to test ourselves, test our structure, our environment, test our app, test our code, if we can test our backend, if we can support a new effort. So again, unfortunately, it's the only way to track. Again, you can avoid Jira, but you need to find another tool to.
I have
that.
different
Opinion.
a little bit different vision
go.
on that. I think, and it's there are two faces of the same coin. Let's put it like this. I agree with Max. It's true, but I always ask myself why. What is that? It's because there are multiple components on this decision, which can be summarized as a lack of trust. Lack of trust, not a malicious thing. It can be lack of trust in the sense that I don't know someone, I don't know Max, and I'm a stakeholder, and I'm communicating with Max directly for the first time, so I'm gonna challenge him because I don't know him.
Of course.
Oh, Jurgo, and that's one side of the coin. The other point is that that's why we have Jira. It's just to do on top of the previous reasons, and we do time tracking and stuff like that. The other thing is that I think that we need, if we don't use Jira or whatever management we have, you need to have history logs or something like that, that tells you what we've done, why have we done that. Because sometimes we saw with Max, multiple time people were proposing always the same idea in like 2 years time, and we have to be able to say, look, we already did this experiment. Unfortunately, when we worked together, the decision logging wasn't that good, and like results and stuff like that wasn't that good, wasn't well structured. So new product owner jumps in the company and says, oh, I wanna move this thing from here to there, but yeah, we've done it in the past. Yeah, but now it's different. No, it's the same thing. You're proposing the same thing, has already been proven. So there are two things. First is lack of trust from stakeholder, and the second one is that when the company scales, you need to somehow have a decision log, a little bit of diary that tracks your historical decision making, what you tried, why it failed, what you think, what are the numbers, and all these things. That this shouldn't be tracked with Jira anyway, but probably you can make a quick search on Jira and search for something. It's not the right tool anyway to do this, my opinion. But I don't like Jira because I would like to work in a perfect environment where people are honest, they have a clear communication, they understand each other, they work close to each other, and they work side by side. Yes, they trust each other, and they work side by side, developing the new feature, the new whatever it is.
But in this scenario,
wait, Alessandro had some thoughts.
Sorry.
No, well, actually, I just want to say I might have a few things to say about Jira. As you know, I don't like it as well, but in general, I don't like the idea and whatever. But maybe slightly off topic compared to the time. No, this entire conversation of Jira, maybe we should be back to the main discussion that was time, usage of time, why. There was a question of what if 1 month we do a feature 1 month later? What's the real impact? Sometimes there might be an impact. Sometimes there might be an impact of taking less time because you introduce more risk. So I think we should be back to the conversation.
The question why we can do a feature a month later, open another topic and say, okay, you know what? To doing this, we need 2 months planning. That's it. Don't ask me to squeeze this time, because I can say
my question is, why do you need that time though? Because as I said before, forecasting time, you cannot even forecast weather conditions, right? So why you ask me to have you can call it high level estimation. For me at that point it would be just gut feeling. It's not engineering, it's not science. If I cannot predict the weather conditions, you know, why I have to predict you? Why do you need that number for me? Why do you need to know that it's 2 months? Oh, because to make an informed decision, should I do this or should I do B, that maybe it takes less time.
But again, exactly
but why? If you do A or B, you don't do it because B takes less time, right? You do it because you think there's a better impact of doing B, maybe, but not because it takes less time or less effort. Why time is into this equation? Considering it's full of unknowns, it's not very predictable, and it's, you know, more related to gut feeling.
This is related to something we discussed weeks ago. Again, it's at some point people ask you this time frame to decide what they're going to be like. It's like in Italian. Actually, we use this title, if I remember. We said feature al kilo. I can't translate it because there's no meaning, the real meaning in English. But again, it's like, okay, you told me you need a month. Actually, I need to know how many days, years, how many days or weeks.
Yes, I like estimation in
hours.
years.
We are fast. We want to build in
Sometimes.
hours, right?
You know why? Because I got a lot of feature, and if you told me this is important feature, but this important feature require 2 months, we are going to cut out and use another bullshit feature because no, we need to deliver faster. We need to show again. Go back to the communication point the months ago almost. You need to be able to be a smart communicators because only at that point you can explain, you can tell to the people why you spent a week more because there was like some issue, something like that. Otherwise, people don't trust you. Again, you lose your trust, and we are going to plan everything in just the way.
I think I agree with you, Max, but I think in general, time is somehow overrated. I think that
or underrated.
Well, yeah, but no, in the sense the question about the time of how many days, hours is gonna take. I'm asking, is really asking the time to build? How long does it take to build something? A good question, a healthy question for a business. Can we build a business in which this element, considering the number of unknowns around this element, which is time, can we build an healthy business that doesn't require this as an input of the equation? Because this time is full of unknowns. So whatever number I put there,
it's the real variable of the equation.
Is exactly the same as if I try an effort to put there a meaningful number. A random number would work as well, in my opinion, because the number of unknowns, you can control that. If you cannot control weather or whatever, you cannot control what's happening in your team. It's not less complicated. It's more complicated. There are users, interaction, infrastructure. Too many unknowns, it's too broad. So that number, even if you call it high-level estimation, is meaningless. There's no, you cannot trust that number. I can replace that with a random number generator. So why we are forced to put that number into the equation, to base our estimation, base the future of the business around discussions, or gut feelings, or numbers that you ask me to provide, that you cannot trust, but you have a feeling that you can trust it more. You feel more confident if I give you that number, even though I tell you that number is full of unknowns. So.
Because people trust in the number and not in the people. They don't trust you. They want to read the number because the number are the real truth. This is the problem.
You can ask that number at the end, though. Retrospectively, why it took 2 months to build it.
Exactly. This is why the retrospective is so important, because give you like a clarification. But again, your point is so important and so true. But what I say is maybe it's a sad moment, but you can't build a product in a healthy situation. You can't. This is the market, and this is what we decide to do for our job.
Yorgo is saying, I'm a real Jira lover, but I don't think Jira is a good tool for planning. Jira is amazing for tracking and work in process visualization. Tracking of what, Yorgo, if I may ask? Work in progress, yes, what people are working in.
Yeah. But again,
why you need that information? But it's a different
I think another key is not just related to how many tools or what is the perfect tool that you can use it. It's like why you need everything in a time frame. Why? I mean, if you explain to me why, I can give you something more. If you came to me and you said, you know what, I go like, we have our investor and they put money in our project, and they ask us what is the time frame or the effort to do some stuff. And I understand that question, but what I need to be honest with you, and I need to be honest with my team and our team, and say we can set something from a week to 3 months. There is a lot of unknown. Again, if you give me time, but real time, I can give you something for real. I give you like I can give you like an answer. If I'm coming to you and I show you a proof of concept without any interaction with the developer or something like that, and you love that proof of concept and you don't know anything, you can say, okay, how you design this? Oh, it took me like a couple of hours because I got everything in my mind, but this is a proof of concept. This is all in my mind. I need to check if it's possible to be built. I know it's possible to be built, but I need to check the effort. But again, trust is another key. You need time to trust, and unfortunately, I disrupt a little bit what Alessandro said because it's very important. Unfortunately, when you build this trust concept in your team, you discover then one of your team members decide to step up and leave the company and go in another company. So you spend time again to create this connection. Then I look at you, you look at me, we understand each other. I don't have to ask a planning, because I know if you say to me I need 2 days, is a fucking real 2 days. It's not just because you want to spend a day and a half to play or watch something on YouTube and then you spend the half day to build the feature. It's a sad world, guys.
Yeah, no, it's true. And even when you build a trust, it takes time.
Exactly.
to build even the you know, to take a team and make it work together, it takes time, and things improve, and then there is something that is always something that disrupts that team balance. Anyway.
I think one of the worst answer or explanation.
Wait, sorry. Yurgo is gonna hit you, Alessandro. Yurgo is saying, wait for it.
Go.
You need visualization because of the uncertainty of the software products. You can't forecast how much time you're gonna spend to do something. You can't also predict what your customer will want for a lot of reasons. You have to consider the needs of your customer and the needs of your team. Visualization is both helping manager in communicate the state of the work in progress and the coordination of the team itself. I am actually agreeing with Alessandro.
I've lost.
Okay.
I thought it was a challenge to Alessandro.
To
Alessandro's point.
I'm not as well.
I think he's saying yes. Well, then you don't need it. This is the reason.
Okay.
This is the reason, but I don't agree on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Hugo. If I'm reading it the right way. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt it. Because otherwise we go far away from the comment and we don't.
And now I lost what I.
It was trust with the team, and team members, and that they leave the company, and you lost that thing.
No, this is the problem when you are going to talk in a freestyle mode. No, it was not that. I think I ended the concept. No, I need to bring back, but maybe it was not important. But yeah, related time. No, it's not. Fault,
I jumped on you.
I try to because I need to write down this stuff.
Okay.
Put some music.
Let's put some music on and some jazzy music. No, anyway, I agree. There are so many things in place that goes into the equation. And go.
Okay, sorry, because you mentioned now, and I got like I jump in. Another problem related to time frame, and it's very sad, is the answer I receive quite often is like, okay, yeah, if you need 2 weeks or if you need 3 weeks, doesn't matter. We don't want to build anything, because if you can't build this feature in a springtime, doesn't matter for us. Now our user, they need this ASAP, blah blah blah, and say, okay, but why you force everyone to work in a very short time frame, and say to us, yeah guys, if you don't build anything by the end of the sprint, we throw away everything. Of course, you don't maybe you challenge me, but you are going to destroy the entire team feeling, because you start working with the wrong mindset. They say, okay, if we don't accomplish everything by the end of the next week, they throw away everything, our energy, our idea, our code, our design, exactly what we built. This again, it's happened. It continues happening in every company. Someone sit down next to you and they say, okay, they told me if we can achieve this, don't start. You kill the creativity, and the creative is not the design related to design. Creative is everything. You kill the creative from a developer point of view, because a developer, front end, sometimes especially front end developer, he don't challenge me as a designer to say, we can do this interaction, we can maybe introduce some fade in, fade out situation, animation, we can check this, maybe we can integrate your design with a different behavior. No, he's going to do, guys, we have 2 weeks, design some shit, I'm going to build shit, because we need to tick that checkbox in Jira, and we need to say, yeah, in 2 weeks we build shit. This is the reality, and this is the fucking time frame, the wrong time frame.
About that, I want to just stress that we are not here to say like that. It's not about this thing. It's not about not having feedback loop. We obviously, I think, all agree that having feedback loop is important because of those unknowns on the user side. So it's important, obviously, to build something, go faster on the market, and iterate over. We're not there to say we don't want to do that. But again, as we discussed in the MVP session, for example, you cannot go live with something that is half done, that is shitty done, because otherwise all the numbers are biased. You are missing the point of that MVP. You are going to the fast market, of course, but the feedback loop then is biased. It's the feedback on something that is not the original idea. It's just a misconception of the original idea at that point.
I want to have a rant. I want to have a rant live, and I'm going to put the names on that. I'm going to put the names. So, I want to do it. So, I already mentioned to Max and Alessandro. So, a friend of mine told me, download Call of Duty. Okay, this game, and like I said, oh yeah, of course, I'm gonna take it. I played the free version of Battle Royale, and then they said, no, I'll play multiplayer. It's funnier.
Amazing.
To play.
Yeah.
Let's play with multiplayer. It's cool. I already installed the game that was 120 gigabytes. And then first time I had to play after 120 gigabytes. First thing is that the deployment server were completely down, so it took me 2 days to download the game.
Of course.
That's one thing, but it's okay. I had to create a battle.net account. First thing that I did after installing the game was to translate my battle.net account to an Activision account. So I start the game, the first screen after signing up is, okay, sign up again to Activision. And I was like, sorry, what's that? What was the thing?
Why?
Because
exactly?
because it's been developed by 5 companies, so they had all on their account and hosted in a 6th company, from a 6th company. Anyway, let's go through this. That's my user experience. So I did the sign up, and my friend was waiting for me to play the game, and I said yes. Then there is the sound setup, the sound setup. That takes another 5 minutes, where you have to figure out your surround system. This is my big surround system, the home theater. That's the setup of my home theater. There is no option to headphones, because of course you play a video games, a first person shooter on your PC, and you don't have a 7.1 home theater. Are you kidding
No,
me?
exactly.
No, you play with your... you don't
and
play
you
with
live
your
alone
headphones.
in the middle of nowhere in the Black
Yeah,
Forest
so-
in Germany, of
so-
course.
So there's the option for headphones. That's good. Other 5 minutes. I completed that and then said, "Oh, the game requires an update within the game." But the installer usually provides the update. So I started loading and said, "Okay, restart the game again." I had to restart the game under 20 gigabytes to download. And then you go into that 20 gigabytes under 20 minutes. You download it. You go on live. You
really love your friends.
And then, my friend was already hating me. And then
But you really love.
And then it appeared on the top of the screen. It's better for you to not play the game until you download the optimized shaders. And so you had to wait another 10 minutes to have the optimized shader. Then this friend of mine told me, "Oh, why don't you upgrade to multiplayer?" Yes, let's do this. I upgraded. I bought the game, £50 by the way. I bought the game, and after I bought it, other 80 gigabytes of memory. And then I had to redo the sound setup again and reinstall the shaders again. This is a well thought user experience from Activision. I can name all of them: Activision, Battle.net, Beanox, and the other. I don't remember the other two. But this is what comes out when yeah, Jurgo was saying installing the game was the game itself. And anyway, yesterday I wanted to have a quick match, because after a stressful day, you wait the weekend to play. All the servers were down. I couldn't play the game for 6 hours, so I went to sleep, of course. During the night, I'm not waiting for AM to play the game. I couldn't play because they had some issues. And the other friend of mine, when he bought the Battle Pass version, which you pay £30 more, and you get some credits to spend in game. And he never got the credits in the game, but he's not the only one. That's the situation. That's the I don't know what's behind that. Probably there are too many companies. There are other type of issues. But I don't care. I'm a user. I don't care. I pay the game. I have 500 gigabytes hard disk, and it doesn't fit in my hard disk, so I had to remove other things. That's my experience. I spent 12 hours of gameplay, and I spent more than 12 hours to install and set up the game. This is the result, and I'm really thinking about getting a refund, because I'm not gonna give £50 for something that doesn't work. For me, it doesn't work. For me, it doesn't. The transition for me is that it doesn't work. I don't care if something goes down. No, I'm a user. I paid. I want to play. For me, if I can play, it doesn't work.
Again, this is the perfect scenario where someone just designed all this shit with an happy flow, and that's it. And maybe all this implementation was based on, I don't know, like years ago, when there was not a lot of patches, expansion, and blah 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 blah. Today, and then everyone starts in the beginning to download a game and etc. But again, this is why sometimes you receive 1-star review or a middle finger related to your product, just because you never spend the necessary time to think about everything. So in my experience, I'm the public enemy for my QA team, because I say, guys, you need to spend time to QA everything, and especially user experience. I don't know. I'm a QA. I just need to see if something works. Exactly. To go back to the fair example, everything works. He downloaded the game. He update the game with patches. He bought an expansion. He installed the expansion. But at the end of the fucking journey, he never played with his friend online at that game.
I wanna
like a great.
If I really wanna shoot down, there is a single player mode, so you can play the campaign.
Yeah.
But since the game launches connected to the Activision servers first, that's the first interaction. You can't even play single player. I wasn't able to do that.
Of course.
On top of everything, if we want to put everything, is that the game has 5 different game modes, and there are 5 different games. and you can't download separately each one of them. I just want to play single player, so I'm gonna download Modern Warfare single player, and I'm gonna press that as a user experience. Or I wanna play Battle Royale, I'm gonna download this player. And you launch different games. So that's the kind of product it's being delivered. There are reasons behind it. I'm sure there are reasons behind it. But from the user experience, that's what I think. That's what I got. I can't play my game, not in single player, not in multiplayer, not in Battle Royale. I can't do anything. And the servers are down, and I paid £50, guys. It's not free. It's you can download 25 indie games that are, in my opinion, funnier than Call of Duty. But yeah, that's pretty much. Sorry for the outcome.
No,
I wanted to rant because it's really a bad thing.
Our live show, let's go like this, live show, is based on this. So we got
on the rants,
and then we drive the entire show in a freestyle. So,
and then to talk about time, by the way, I spent 2 days installing the game.
we lost a little bit Alessandro just because he don't fucking care about the game.
No, that was interesting. A very Offer somehow is one of the best user experience I've ever heard about, so it was fun.
After this, you can't complain about anything.
Yeah,
plenty of this user experience where you are going to download apps, especially apps, game. And the app is free. There's an app purchase. You download, you sign up, and then they tell you, oh, by the way, if you want to use my software, my app, you have to subscribe. And say, what about? Oh yeah, it's free. It's free because you can download for free. You can create your account for free. I'm going to share all my deal states with you. But then, if you need to start using something, you have to pay. And say, what the fuck? Because at the end of that product, the main core for that product is just collect information, collect emails, and etc. Or again, if you think about
optimizing the metrics for the sign up, but by the way, maybe that's your goal. So conversion, sign up. How many people sign up?
Exactly. I think they can suit us, so we can talk about again these COVID apps. In our
can I just show something that I found just right now?
Yeah, sure.
Alessandro is gonna love it. It's really quick. This is something that has been introduced in Android Studio. Looks like it's probably, I consider it the UI, but I can't understand what it is really, but looks like it's Android Studio. It's a tweet posted by Jake Wharton. I can share the screen, but I don't know how to do it right now, so I'm gonna just show my smartphone.
I think wait, it's okay, but you need to move a little bit. Okay, shouldn't this also say less feature? But we can't see the screenshot. So
the screenshot says that there is an option where you can compile with different levels, and one is bytecode level 8 slower builds, 7 nothing, 6 less features, less language features. And Jake Wharton was running and say, shouldn't these all say less features? is to use the language compatibility, so you can use less feature of the language. Sorry, go on.
No. Alessandro, you were no.
Don't think so.
Oh, again.
No.
We lost the point again.
It's my fault. Today is not a good day. Sorry, Max. I'm just jumping in and tackling you, and you keep forgetting about this.
It's Say,
luckily.
We start talking about sign up with some prods. I mentioned the hurriness, the rush around developing this COVID-19 apps, because the market needs, everyone needs, and everyone needs this number again, time. And then at some point say, okay, look, we mentioned many times there are these two huge companies, they own the platform, we got Apple for iOS and Google for Android. They start work together to build something to try to, I don't know what I said, it's like track you without I don't know, steal information or without burn your battery or something like that. So they're still work in progress. How is possible then someone bigger and smaller can go, and I know how it's possible, but again, can go to someone and say, yeah, I can build an app to track all this shit, and don't worry, trust me, I know everything, I can use exactly what we got, without take your time to make an analysis, to investigate what these two companies are going to introduce, because maybe after they release what they want to release, they are going to destroy your app or close out your app, or your app is not useful anymore. But again, my first question was, okay,
it's
fine,
just redundant, because probably Google and Apple will do it built in within the
exactly.
OS. If they can be an option.
Let's assuming that your product going on live and work very well, no problem at all, where this information goes. So many companies shout about, we are going to have the healthcare, we are going to have, in this scenario, NHS or something like that. Do you really spend time to understand if they have time to look at those numbers, to look at that app, because they are busy, they spend their time to save lives? Again, I don't want to disrupt everything, but all the time, again, there's a time question. Like, guys, before you rush and you're going to be, I'm the first on the market, I'm in Italy and we are the company who built this amazing product, but who asked for this? Who, the people, they have time to play with your product? Or after one day, then answer your question. Do you think they are going to open your product every day to tap the thumbs up or tell you they are fine? And what happened when they say, no, fuck, I'm not fine, I'm super pissed off, and I think I still feeling the first COVID-19 problem, and
maybe you're wrong.
Do you think
maybe you're
they are
just
going
tired?
to tell you?
Maybe
exactly.
you're just tired.
I mean, if I got some symptom, do you think my first reaction is open the app and press the button to put my thumbs down, or say, no, I'm fucking down? Maybe I'm going to call someone can help me. Again, take your time to understand if you're going to build something good or if you're going to build another shitty fucking product.
It goes on the Play Store, please. Remove your apps from the Play Store.
Yeah.
That's the communication.
I think we ask, I don't know, instead that we mentioned a few times, like we have to think and we have to ask questions to ourselves, to the users, to the business. And it's incredible because we never spend time asking those questions, but there are questions like how much time is going to take. That is a standard question instead. It's a routine question that appears all the time. I think whenever time is obviously a variable into the game and on the desk, as I said before, I don't trust it as a variable. I don't think it should be part of the equation because of the unknowns. But even if, let's assume it's one of the players, right? So it's on the table. But surely you always trade the time for something else. You trade it for quality, you trade it for creativity, we mentioned before. You trade it for happiness of ourselves, happiness of our users. So there are always implications. You choose time over other things, and that's fine. You might think that it's the right thing to do for your specific feature, in your specific use case and situation. Maybe it's right, maybe it's the right choice. I disagree. Most of the time, probably, because as I said, the time is not well defined. It's unknown. It's not a good variable. But let's assume you are right.
But also the time flow. We can control the time in the sense that we can allocate our effort and dedicate to the time, but we can't slow down time, we can't stop it, we can't bottle it. It's not like water.
No, I understand, but that's my concern was more about when you have to balance whether to do a feature or not, or how to do it or whatever. Time is into the equation, and I don't think it should be, as I said before. But let's assume it's there. Then it's a trade-off. It's a balance. You trade that time for other things. Either quality, creativity, happiness, whatever. And how much time we sit down and think about the implication of that choice, because it's a choice at the end of the day. You choose to use time rather than invest on quality, rather than investing on happiness of your users, rather than investing into happiness of your team. It's a choice. And even if you can trust that time, even if you can trust my estimation, even if my estimation is the best in the world, I say 3 months and it's gonna be 3 months. I say 1 week and I can do it in 1 week, no rush, perfect. Okay, but is this the only relevant thing? No, because you are trading that for other things. And
it's true.
How many times you sit down and we ask ourselves, okay, what are the implications of this choice? What we lose, what we risk by trading time for quality, creativity, happiness, things that maybe we don't know how to measure, or we cannot measure, or we don't want to measure for good reasons, but they're still there, and we don't ask ourselves. But we always ask about the time. So that's a mandatory question, apparently. But me and Phil were talking a few days ago, and then I let you answer, Max. But
about the shitty coffee.
And I also, but we were also talking about, for example, fashion, and there was Ophel shared with me some thoughts about fashion market, and Ophel was sharing some thoughts about the fact that these days. You have to rush for the new collection every single time. You have already to think about, winter 2020. No, let's talk about summer of not this year, of the next year, because it's important. This year it's already too late. And you keep reinventing the wheel sometimes. So squeeze your mind again to try to figure out what else can go on the market. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, what's the possibility that you can really that you can introduce innovation in this market at this rate? We talk about innovation in one of our previous talks, and can you really innovate the market if you just press on speed, and you try to deliver continuously new things, because the current ones are always old, not to mention how many things we waste because of this approach. And so,
Cool. You said something before, and I think another important question related to time is asked to ourselves or asked to our team: have we spent the right time to develop what we build? Have you spent the right time to discuss between us? Have we spent the right time to deliver that feature? Because we constantly try to squeeze everything. And then at the end of this development, we mentioned a little bit in the beginning of this episode, the concept and the word retrospective. So this is something touch me in the heart, because the retrospective meeting section is super important, because it's at the end of your building your journey, thanks, and is the right time where you sit down and you start talking about what was wrong, what went right, and etc. Everything fading in some time. But what happened? If you analyze the time, for sure you're going to spend 70% of your time doing planning, meeting time, doing planning and update, and at the end you say, okay, let's set up a 30 minutes, maybe an hour to do 2 weeks if you are lucky, or sometimes 2 sprint retrospective. And in my mind, I start to burn a little bit, because I say, so at the end of the process, the retrospective meeting is exactly the perfect situation when you are going to talk about issues in everything, and you want to dedicate only 30 minutes, maybe just because I'm very kind, an hour, and that's it.
Okay.
Guys, again, another very
That's also, I don't think
my
it's just a retrospective for the team, it's the retrospective for the whole company.
Yes.
To look back and see, like, okay, this is what you've done. If you did the right thing, why we did the right thing. If we did the wrong thing, is the wrong thing. And like, what are the consequences, and dig deeply. And probably just by having that, I think that they will understand that given the time constraint, at some point, if you do it 20 times, at some point you will learn that probably given time constraints, it's time that played, the same time that you rushed is the time that killed you.
Yeah, but even in retrospective for the feature itself or for a project, you know, because we spend a lot of time in planning, we said. Okay, but why planning where you have most of the unknowns and you never spend time into understanding what happened to that feature? If an A/B testing was working or not, what to do with that A/B testing, and why we spend time trying to predict and forecast the time of a project. How many times we sit down and we say, okay, this project took 2 months. Why?
Why? Exactly.
So where at that point you have more information, you have less unknowns, you did it. So that's probably the best time to sit down and analyze, because if you've done things carefully, let's say, you have data to analyze at that point. You can ask the right questions. While at the beginning, whatever question you ask is just forecasting. It's just an attempt to predict things. I'm not saying it's totally bullshit, but you know, you are just trying to forecast.
No, you learn. Looking back, that's a way to learn. That's a way to learn. Probably you can say we should have done this, and that, which will help you planning in the future, and probably those 2 months will reduce to 1 month because you learn something, and you optimize the time after. You are more effective. You optimize everything.
True, but now take the life cycle of a typical feature. You start with kickoff, planning, grooming, whatever you want to call it. How many times you really sit down and you ask, not for your sprint as the standard ceremony for it, but at the end of a feature, how many times you ask, okay, how was this feature? Maybe in terms of business metrics, yes, business goals, yes, but in terms of, you know, the overall process. But I want to just say something different. That is, you mentioned coffee, Max.
Go.
How much value there is
I give
in
5 minutes because it's time to close.
Yeah,
coffee.
No, go.
How much value there is in a coffee, Max? If me, you, or Feo just take some time to go out 2 hours for a coffee during working hours, that's not productivity time directly, but think about how much time that can be there, like team building, there's conversations, there's so much value in there. Maybe you cannot measure it, and you know, if you just look at Jira, if you just look at whatever, you might say this is time wasted. It's not time devoted to design, it's not devoted to planning, it's not devoted to writing code, it's not for a feature, it's coffee. That coffee is wasted because you cannot record it, you cannot write it on Confluence, you cannot,
and
how much value that could be.
Why you lose a lot of time during your working hour to go out and have a coffee, and the coffee is just, you don't drink coffee sometimes, you go out to have this coffee and have a chat with someone that is not in your team, or with someone is not in your line management. And sometimes this is the question I receive: why you spend time this week with I don't know, a 2 backend engineer? What are you talking about with them? I spend time because I want to understand a little bit more, because I'm not just a designer. As I said in our first episode, I start as industrial designer because I want to understand how the things work. And for me, it's not a bad way to spend my time, because I'm going to improve my knowledge and acquire more knowledge again. But unfortunately, the time is ended for this week. Before we wrap up, I still a couple of minutes. Just a reminder for us three. Is no the bullshit we say at the end. Oh, guys, we are going to do this and that. Please come. We would like to talk about an hypothetical project, and maybe this project is a fake project. It's not real, but require a lot of interaction. So we are going to do some planning for this fake project. But if someone after he watched this episode want to participate with us, just maybe leave a comment and then we'll see, because it's interesting if we can organize something like in real life. Sorry, you wave something? No, because
it's funnier if we do. More people are in there, more fun is gonna
absolutely.
be, more interactive. Actually, probably we might want to invite them. We want to have a live session with multiple people.
If you find, exactly, maybe we can invite these people in our show, because we need have the interaction. Then it's not Jira ticket, it's not a chat. Let's say that. But okay, I think it's time.
Yeah, it's time to wrap up. So, adding up and wrapping up the whole thing, we spoke a little bit about taking the time to think about what you want to build, consequences and risks before going to the team and say, that's what I want to do. Once the idea is pretty clear and we are confident, then we need to start analyzing the problem, breaking it down, thinking about it, looking at the edge case, and of course after that starting the planning. Of course, giving back time estimates. Does it have value? What's the value of giving time? If what's value of time versus value of the feature itself for the user or for the company? Do you want to trade time for user value? Do you want to trade time for company value? Is this what you want? Or do you want to deliver, ignore for a bit the constraint of time, because usually we don't build big things, we build quite small things most of the time. Do you want to trade faster delivery with something that affects quality or user experience, or don't tackle the edge cases, or don't take into account unknowns, things changing, sickness and other things? Why you wanna track how much time does it take? What's the value of why this takes 2 weeks instead of 4 weeks or 6 weeks? And after that, taking time to release the product, to have the user to digest the feature, use it, appreciate it, and look at the data. Take the time to look at the data once the data are ready. Take the time
don't anticipate.
Yes, don't anticipate. Try to not anticipate. There's time for everything, and for analytics as well. The user has to get used to the feature, has to be delivered, roll out, release, and other things. Feature has to be tested and user tested and QA tested before the release. And after that, take the time for why we are not taking time for a retrospective on the team, but a real retrospective on the team, but a retrospective of the project, a retrospective of the product result.
Why we don't take time to do a team retrospect, actually, as you said, a project retrospect with all the people outside your team, because again, communication, you need
with the stakeholders.
With the stakeholders, sometimes you need to build this trust in a way that they know what happened. They know you are no you don't have a problem to share your failure, because it's the perfect time again to
give visibility. You have to give visibility. What are the implications? Or I got an idea.
A retrospective is more than that. It's feedback loop. It's more than just visualization, right?
Time consuming. We know, but you need take the time.
And then why you don't take time for coffee?
Why you don't?
You got coffee. I don't have coffee now. I finished my water. It's time because I don't know.
So that's pretty much it. Probably the music at the end of the episode is really loud now. In the wrap up section. So enjoy the music. Why don't you take time to enjoy the music?
Esatto.
So thanks
Okay,
everyone
thank you so
for
much, guys.
following the stream. It's been a pleasure. We overrun as usual because that's what we do most of the time. That's freestyle. And see you next week for probably the next big different talk we're gonna have, which is gonna be different in the format probably if we have time to.
If we have time. We don't know.
If we have time, it comes back. The time topic. Cool.
Okay. Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.